on TV, online, and on your smartphone. This is Ticker News.
Everyone should be free, and yet, through force, fraud, and coercion, human traffickers violate this basic right of people around the world. Where is it happening and why? I'm Veronica Dudo. Let's find out.
This is In America Today from the Ticker News Studios in New York City.
According to the United States Department of Justice, human trafficking is a crime that involves compelling or coercing an adult or a minor to provide labor or services or to engage in commercial sex acts. The coercion can be subtle or overt, physical or psychological. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says human trafficking exists in every country, including the United States. The government agency says it happens nationwide in cities, suburbs, rural towns, and possibly in your own community. Every year, millions of people are exploited within and across borders. They are forced to work in deplorable conditions in factories, fields, mines, on fishing boats, and even in private homes for little or no pay. Many adults and children are also sexually abused. For more, we're joined by Christy Hutcherson, the founder and president of Women Fighting for America, LLC. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, this is a subject that is so extremely sad and evil. Many people around the world, including Americans, would prefer not to think about it, but these victims truly need help. You have traveled the entire southern and northern border of the United States. You've seen firsthand the devastation of illegal immigration, child and human trafficking, organ trafficking. What have you witnessed during your border missions?
Well, yeah, the horrific acts. There is an unseen evil in this world, and has no prejudice. It sees no color, it sees no ethnic, gender, and it doesn't even see economics. It is trafficking. The border situation has really fueled the fire for even more trafficking into the United States. And as a matter of fact, the United States of America is the number one consumer of the sex trade and child trafficking industry, and that is very sobering. And so we buy and consume this trade. So we need to stop this. First and foremost, it stops with the buyers. If there's not a buyer, then these TCOs, these criminal organizations, they will go out of business.
How lucrative is the illegal human trafficking trade?
So under the current policies, the trafficking trade has over tripled and quadrupled in empowering and emboldening both financially and from a weapons perspective and a stronghold perspective to the cartels. And so you're looking at somewhere between a $2 to $3 billion industry a year.
What do you think needs to be done in order to stop these atrocities from happening?
Well, first and foremost, we need to look at the organizations who are the ones who are perpetrating this, and those are most of the transcriminal organizations. So we need to designate these organizations as what they are, and they're terrorists. They're a terrorist organization. We need to be able to look at their financials and start following the trail of the businesses that they operate and fund, and start taking away their money. I believe also under the RICO Act, we can start doing this if they were designated what they are, and that's a criminal organization and a terrorist organization.
Now, there's a lot of information on multiple government agencies, from the State Department, the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security. There are many reports that are done talking about how this works, but it seems that rarely do we see this in the forefront of, top of the list ideas that these agencies want to go after. And also, we really don't see a lot of this in terms of news articles. Why do you think, if it is so prevalent, that it almost seems like it's not talked about?
Because it's big business. Even our own agencies are involved in some of this nefarious activity. Unfortunately, I wish I couldn't say that, but it's the truth. It's the facts. The NGOs, these non-governmental agencies as well, like these different charities, they partake in the human trafficking trade, and it's very lucrative. It's a big, big business. And so that's why there's not a there's not a stomach to stop it because everyone's profiting off of this. Border Patrol agents themselves, when I'm working down at the border specifically, they'll tell me all the time, off camera, off the record, we know that our higher ups are making money off the open borders. This is what the problem is. So we have to stop funding all of this insanity and this evil, quite frankly. And you asked me earlier, what are some of the things that I've seen? And, it's a little rough for your audience to wrap their head around, but I'm going to be really blunt and frank because I have photographs of this. I have videos of this. When we're up at the Mexican highway, and we call it the Mexican highway, there's the trade routes for these sex and labor trade industries. They bring them to staging zones. In these staging zones, they have these trees, and they're usually there sometimes for 12 hours, sometimes for 24 plus hours, waiting for the transport to come and pick up the sold victims, these children and women. And at these trees, there's shackles and ropes. They actually tie these women and children down with shackles and ropes on our soil here in the United States, and they violently gang rape them into submission. When they fight back, sometimes, unfortunately, they get their skulls bashed in. Then they take the bras, panties of these individuals and the underwear of these children, and they put them in the tree as a trophy. This is disgusting. These people are vile. They're animals. And so the next set comes along and says, listen, this is how many we got to rape. It is a bragging right, and it also is a disgusting, vile act. Some little children and girls, as young as 4 years of age, has over 20 to 50 different men's DNA on their body. America, this is evil and we need to stop it. We can stop it, but it starts with us, number one, educating. Two, identifying that this is actually a problem and that this is actually really a reality and it's happening on our soil right now. And by the way, it's not just at the borders. It is in every city across the United States. New York City is a huge hub for trafficking. And so we have to understand that the operational control by these TCOs, these transcriminal organizations, their reach, their tentacles are deep, deep, deep in every single city, rural and urban centers across the United States.
So for someone who may be watching at home, and this is probably shocking, maybe they want to do some more research or they want to get involved or help, what would your advice be to them?
There's so much to do. There's volunteers that we need. Not everybody can be boots on the ground. It's very dangerous work. Our teams and us really do put our lives on the line. We are being disruptors of a multi-billion-dollar business, not only because human trafficking and drug trafficking and weapons trafficking all go hand in hand. And so it's very lucrative. So first and foremost, you can open up your wallet and fund the fight to stop and end and eradicate human trafficking. I know my particular organization, Operation Archangel, you can go to our website at wffa.win or search Women Fighting for America and donate there. But you can also give your time, making phone calls, emails. We do legislature. We try to combat this, answering phones, making letters, sending those out to the Congress people to get involved and act is very, very key. And then spreading the word. You have to tell other people that this is a reality. And then finally, if you see something that just doesn't sit right in your gut, don't be afraid to say something. I would rather have you be wrong than what if you're right? Then you've saved somebody's life. And there's telltale signs of somebody who's been trafficked. So get educated, come to some of the training seminars and the classes, and understand what to look for to combat this evilness.
With about 30 seconds left, can you talk a little bit about the goals of the Women Fighting for America?
Absolutely. So I'm asked this all the time, what is your 5, 10, 15-year plan? Well, my 5-year plan, honestly, is to be retired on a beach somewhere because we've eradicated human trafficking. I'm not in this for the long haul. I was called by my Lord and Savior to do this. And I want to stop. And my organization is all about stopping. And that means going after the criminals, the head of the organizations, and taking these criminals to jail and holding them accountable for what they've done. And I don't care who it is, believe me, there are big names, whether they're politicians or Hollywood actors, big players, corporate CEOs, a lot of these individuals are involved in this. And so we've got to go after them, expose them, and then hold them accountable for what they're doing to these little children.
Thank you so much for your time. More Ticker News right after this.